Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme, exploring the genre of post-hardcore with a band that I'm quite familiar with. The band is Chiodos, and this is an interesting selection because I'm familiar with the album that preceded this and the album that came out after it. Never really listened to this one, and part of that is probably because of the personnel change. Craig Owens is the vocalist for Chiodos, except for on this album. He departed from the band and was replaced with Brandon Bolmer, formerly of Yesterday's Rising. So, let's dive into this and see what Chiodos was doing in 2010 on the album Illuminatio, with the track Those Who Slay Together, Stay Together.
Light came through a crack in the wall. That red sun slowly rose.
Very haunting. I like the vocal layers.
They came for us. For a while we were safe and sound. They came like thieves and robbed our town of all the life, of everything we knew. The living versus the dead. Right now you're gone. Hell is on its way.
The layered harsh and clean. The piano off on the left. So good.
Crimson iris is the army of the infected. They smelled our scent, sensed our fear. They knew where we were. They asked us the light. The flames are red with blood. They came through the door like a flood. Like a flood. A force too strong to handle.
A subtle shift into this section.
We were attacked like a candle surrounded by demons that don't want the light.
Lining up the piano and vocal line.
They darkened our ability to see through the night. Come from hell or high water, we'll never leave one another alone. This plague has taken control of us.
Interesting, the shift. We had a tremolo picking on the side versus the very directed piano work. Great bass work there.
We devoured all that we could. Oh yes we did. And immersed ourselves in all the blood, biting each and every one. The army of the infected.
Really hanging on to that tension. excellent point. Violins now. Sparsely used violin though. You know, I think I made a mistake. I think I made a mistake not checking this album out. It's everything that I loved about Bone Palace Ballet, which was the album that preceded this, but done to the next level, I think, of precision and clarity. Bone Palace is a very compressed album. It has a very mid 2000s sound to it, and I don't quite think it's balanced in the production side of things to the best that it could be. Now, granted, I have come to know that album inside and out with that specific sound, so I don't know if I would want a remaster of it per se. But I do really like this cleaner sound. It is still compressed. It's still very claustrophobic around the listener. It's not ridiculously high fidelity, but it is a cleaner sound. And I think a lot of that also comes down to the vocalist. I don't want to say one is better than the other. I think they both have their strengths. I do find it really interesting just how close Brandon gets to being in that same realm as Craig Owens. That kind of blows my mind. But I will say that Brandon, I think, has a stronger, higher pitched sound. It's less raw, it feels less strained, and he can hit notes without relying on falsetto to get to those pitches. Again, one's not better than the other. Sometimes I really like that rawer side that Craig has. And you know, I've listened to a lot of Craig. I've followed a lot of his projects too. I'm a big fan of him as a vocalist. So, but I there's something about the vocals here just really click with me. Again, I think it's just a cleaner sound overall. It matches the production in a way that I can get behind. Yeah, I'm sold. Why? I guess this goes on my high priority list because I think the only other Chiodos track that album that I haven't heard is their first one, All's Well That Ends Well. And I've heard a couple tracks from it, and it's not my cup of tea. But I skipped Illuminatio, and I feel really bad about that because this was phenomenal. When I say it has everything that I want out of Chiodos, let's get into that. Excellent energy and musical storytelling. The rising and falling throughout this song, the high energy sections versus the lower energy sections, the general movement between harsh abrasive sections and lighter melodic sections, the use of atmosphere and the shifting from like elements of safety and beauty versus gnarliness. It's the contrast. Chiodos is so good at high contrast writing, and I contrast dynamics. Like this is the kind of stuff I talk about all the time. This song's got it. And I absolutely love that. Just shifting, I mean, honestly, it's not just all contrast, although I do like all forms of contrast, but mixing the beauty with the disgusting, with the gnarly, with the abrasive, that's really where you're going to get me. And this song, like a lot of Chiodos tracks, absolutely works in that area. It is super palatable, kind of poppy in some places, and ultra gnarly in others. And I'm here for it. But there's also the other side of that equation. It's not just the sounds of specific sections, but the instrumentation. The piano in here, the clean vocals, the brightness in those, even coming down to the guitar tones themselves. The instruments also embody this light versus darkness. But I like how it's not just, oh, this is a lighter section, throw the piano in there. Well, at the end we heard a violin for a little bit. That helps that section. And, the vocals are going to be clean because this is a light section. But then we get into a heavy section. So, like, oh, we have to have growls. We can't put the piano in here. No, there's not that sort of division to it. It allows for a little bit more nuance to it. The chorus is a high energy section. The guitars are gritty and distorted. There's a mix of cleans and harshes in here. There's also the piano. It has a moving line. And like I even mentioned in the second chorus, that piano is off on the side doing this beautiful rising and falling pattern, while this guitar over on the right is just like tremolo picking like this wall of distortion. You can still kind of hear some pitch out of it. It follows the chord progression, but it's primarily there for the texture of everything. And just bringing those two sides together, the beauty and the beast of it at the same time in the song, mixing the harshes and the cleans, layering them in the first verse, and then doing the call and response in the first chorus, in every chorus. I'm just, I love this. Give me that contrast, but show me the place in the middle as well. It isn't just about pairing disparate ideas together. You got to figure out a way to make them communicate, to tell a full story rather than telling two separate stories that just happen to be going on at the same time. And this song just does a fantastic job of that. It really does. I'm here for every bit of it. Every section of the song sounds great to my ears. And it's because of the composition, it's because of the movement, it's because of the dichotomy and the clashing of these two sounds, but also how they come together. There's also individual things, though. This song is in 6/8. There's a couple of ways to break that up. Rhythmically, they explore like two different ways, I think, on this. We do have an emphasis on every beat. We kind of see this in groupings of two notes per beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, da 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 da. That shows up quite a bit, where each beat is a different note, but you just play the note twice. The guitar played this 3 times, I think. And so we have this very harsh feeling of just, every single beat is emphasized. But we also have the very light 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, where you kind of have an emphasized beginning and then a lightness after that. These big pulses and then, a floating back down before, lifting back off again. The two of these, contrast, present a weightlessness and a weightiness. One feels very present and grounded and rooted, and the other feels very floaty. Fantastic. The drummer works around both of these feelings and tends to designate what kind of sound or what kind of rhythmic fashion we're going to be exploring. Everything else follows suit. The drums then get quite a few ideas in here, and I'm a fan of that. I love drumming. Drum and bass, man, that's where I'm at. It's wild, I don't like that genre as much, but you give me good drum work and excellent bass work, and I'm going to be sold. I really don't care what the guitars and vocals are doing half the time. Give me a solid rhythm section, and you're going to have me halfway there already. And we do get that here. The drum work is excellent throughout this, constantly controlling the emotional weight of the song through the rhythm. Are we floating? Does it feel lighter or does it feel heavier? Gravity is pulling us down. The drums control a lot of that. There's fantastic bass work throughout here too. A lot of the time it kind of gets hidden underneath all of the chaos. There's the piano, there's the guitars, there's the vocals. They're taking up a lot of space in this we are the melodic quality of this sort of area. So you really have to listen to what the bass is doing, but there was a place in the middle of the song when we kind of dipped the energy down a little bit. The bass was very prevalent in the mix. You could easily pick it out. It doesn't have a lot of body though. It just kind of feels like this bass movement in the background rather than, hearing the plucking of the bass guitar. I wish that it had a little bit more definition in its sound, production wise, rather than a mixing thing. But I do think it's a little quiet in the mix too. Regardless, very cool bass lines throughout. A huge fan of that. The guitars shift from texture driven to harmonic driven to melodic riffs. They kind of play the entire field here, and that's pretty awesome. And the vocals, man, I've already talked about that a little bit. The cleans are gorgeous. Some of these notes that he hits are fantastic. The falsetto at times really to punctuate some specific sections, and the harshes coming through. Starting off, kind of easing you into it, layering them, then call and response, and then just going into this post chorus that's just like pure harsh the entire time. Very gnarly section. Um, yeah, that's my type of vocal work right there. We also had stacked cleans for some good harmony stuff. I'm all over all of that, man. The last thing I think I want to touch on then before we hit lyrics is just general structure of this, which I find interesting. I find this track to be a bit more progressive than I expected. Uh, Primarily in structure. I don't know how it went. There was more than three sections. We didn't just have verse, chorus, bridge, and then, order them in a specific way to get the structure. I think there were four or five distinct sections in the track. But then there's also the ordering of them, which I couldn't find the pattern to. Like, I think there were two bridges, or at least what I would call two bridges. There were two verses, but it wasn't like verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It was like verse, chorus, interlude, bridge, verse, bridge, chorus, or something like that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the lyrics look like. Maybe I could glean a little bit of information from that. But it kind of it took me on a journey, and I don't necessarily know where we went, how we got there, but we definitely ended up someplace different than where we started, and that's always a good time. So let me hit some lyrics on this, see what's going on, and then we're gonna wrap this one up. So we have a zombie song. The structure is actually quite interesting. We have a verse followed by a chorus, followed by two verses, another stanza, I'm not sure where that gets classified as, and then a revisit of verse one's lyrics within a new context. I kind of want to go back and listen to the song and see what's going on there, because as far as I can remember at this point, it was a harsh vocal section, but when these words were said the first time, it was clean vocals. Yeah. And then we wrap it up on two choruses with some minor variation within them. Musical variation, not lyrical variation. The general idea here, verse 1 says, the light came in through a crack in the wall, the red sun rose slowly, at the break of dawn they came for us, like thieves, and robbed our town of all the life of everything we knew, the living versus the dead. Just zombies are coming to the town, we hold up here, and sun broke, and now they're coming in. The chorus says, we knew this day would come, those who stay together slay together. Those who slay together stay together. Basically, you help your buddies out. You fend off the zombies from them, they're going to help fend off the zombies from you. Verse 2 talks again about the zombies, crimson irises, they smelled our scent, they knew where we were. They're painting the town red with blood, and then they came through the door like a flood. It says that the force was too strong to handle. It talks about overwhelming odds, and how that the plague that turns people into zombies has begun to take over them. He says, we die only to be born into a monstrosity. And here we hit the beginning of the song again. Lyrically, at least, light came through the crack in the wall. The red sun slowly fell down. So all this happened presumably within the span of 12 hours or so. It says, and we devoured all that we could. We immersed ourselves in all the blood, biting each other and everyone, the army of the infected. So at the beginning, they're in this house, the sun comes up, and they're defending themselves. By the end, though, the sun comes up, still shining, or the sun's going down. The light still shines through the crack in this building, though, except now they are zombies, stating that we are the infected before hitting the chorus, which of course says those who slay together stay together, which, much like that final stanza, providing a bit of a retelling of lines earlier, this is a recontextualization. Rather than fighting off the zombies and sticking together as friends through that, you're now fighting off the humans and sticking together as friends via zombies. It's an interesting song. The music comes off as a bit more intense and serious. This is a bit fun, almost. I mean, yeah, when you look at it literally, it's about a bunch of people being devoured and turned into zombies. That's not fun. But the way that it's sung, the rhythmic pulse of it, the words chosen, something about it feels kind of light. Maybe it's the chorus by itself. It's not grotesque, though, I think is where I'm pointing towards it. It's very, surface level, like a PG-13 kind of story, rather than an R-rated zombie flick. And it kind of keeps a little bit of levity to it. I mean, at the end, they basically said we're infected, but we're still best buds, and we're gonna kill people, just like we did previously, except instead of zombies now, we're going after the humans. And like, that's just a fun little ending. There's a levity to this song that I don't really feel is present too much in the song itself musically, which comes off as very serious. And I find that to be an interesting division here. I don't think it is bad in any way, it's just not what I expected. Interestingly, this is also the second Let's Tell a Zombie story in a post hardcore adjacent genre. Um, and that's kind of interesting, about people stuck in a zombie apocalypse and they have to do stuff in it. It's not my favorite though. The other one is my favorite, but I still 2 times, man. That's weird. I don't know. The other one is called Early Sunsets Over Monroeville by My Chemical Romance. It's definitely more serious than this, and it's also metaphorical. And I tried to like view this through a metaphorical lens, going for the classic Romero zombies are just capitalism. And because even in the first verse, it says that they came through our town like thieves and robbed it of all life and everything we knew, the living versus the dead. I was like, okay, we could probably go in this direction. But at the end, they're like, hey, we're the zombies too, and things are still fine. We're still friends. We're still together. And I'm like, oh, that's probably not a metaphor for that then. Unless they're saying that as a band, they've just embraced capitalism. I mean, maybe that's what they were going for the whole time. I don't know. These are my thoughts, though, on Chiodos's Those Who Slay Together, Stay Together. Let me know what you thought of this. If there's anything that stood out to you, anything that you would like to add on to what I said, or correct me on, maybe you have your own opinion or take or perspective on this, please put all of that and any other thoughts you have down into the comments section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here, you can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all 3 of those. That wraps it up for this one. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.